Stay off the weed.
This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet world, West Alabama. How are we doing today on a Tuesday? It's the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. Hope you and yours are doing well today. We are back live in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. Ready to have a big old day as we talk NCAA tournament and marijuana. Unbelievable. Alabama basketball's NCAA tournament hopes are up in smoke, or are they up in smoke? We are going to talk about Aden Holloway today with our friend Theo Fernandez. I got you right there. You're all good. With our friend Theo Fernandez. You follow him at Theo Fernandez _. We'll talk about the saga that has happened over the last 24 hours with star guard Aden Holloway, and we will get inside the mind of Theo Fernandez as he spent all night looking at Hofstra and looking at the team that's going to give Alabama a lot of trouble. Speedy Claxton, and I just said it. It's not Catch Jones. That's the Georgia running back. It's
Cruz Davis.
Cruz Davis. Thank you very much. So we're going to hear about Cruz Davis and them boys from Theo Fernandez here in just a little bit. And golly, we got plenty to talk about. So jump in and join us on the Bama Central YouTube channel, Bama Central Facebook page, on Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. We are brought to you by Purple Turtle Roofing. For all of your roofing needs, you can visit them online at roofturtle.com, serving all across the Southeast, but specifically in West Alabama and the state of Alabama. You need the peace of mind that they can give you. It is already the spring storm season. There was big storms in the last couple of nights, so we want to make sure that you have the peace of mind that you deserve in your home. Call Purple Turtle Roofing at 877-787-6635 today, or visit them online at roofturtle.com. Follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _. Let's have fun, man. How are you? Great to see you again. I guess I last saw you on Friday as Alabama was doing terrible things on the basketball court. How was the weekend? How are you?
Good weekend. It's always fun on St. Paddy's Day, right? Got the Irish gear all on. Actually, a Greek basketball club shirt that I'm repping, but not many green shirts around here. So, hey, it's a good day. Weather's not great, but it's the best week of the year, Joe. And every time anything happens that gets me a little bit down, I just remember what we have waiting for us on Thursday. We have games today. I mean, man, I'm excited. I've been counting down the days for this really since last April. So this is kind of the best. This is as good as it gets right now.
All right, so you're a younger guy, so tell me this. Do you consider tonight's first four as part of the NCAA tournament?
Yes, because I'm too young to remember a time when it didn't exist, but it's not appointment television. Like, if I miss the beginning of if I miss the first half of the 16 seed matchup tonight, which I think it's Prairie View A&M today, I think.
Yeah, it's UMBC and Howard at 5:40, and it's Texas and NC State at 8:15. Both of them on True TV. They're gonna get True TV. Going to get the highest ratings that they've.
Yes, I make sure I watch all 40 minutes of the 11 seed games. But if I miss the beginning of the 16 seed matchup, that's okay. But with that being said, we had a great moment last year with Alabama State and that game winner. So you always want to watch it. It's tournament basketball. It's fun, man. It's awesome. And UMBC playing tomorrow. I'm going to watch UMBC in the tournament no matter what. So
if they qualify for the big tournament, they're playing tonight.
Yeah, so I'll watch them tonight because you want to see them. You want the whole journey before they go in and maybe pull another upset. So it's hard for me to not want to watch every possible moment of March Madness. So not really part of the tournament, but it's basketball in March.
Well, I do like the fact that Dayton every year has something to look forward to, and I think it's very if you're going to do the first four, and I mean, I remember when it was first implemented, and I hated it, and I guess I'm used to it by now. But I think it's great to have it in the same spot every year, so hey, we're in the first four, we're going to Dayton, and the people of Dayton can get excited about a little basketball. And tonight, the 5:40 game, UMBC and Howard, does have small relevance for Alabama because they are in the Midwest bracket. They'll be taking on Michigan. The winner will be taking on Michigan to open up, and Alabama fans are needing to be cheering for those 16 seeds to pull off an upset of the Michigan Wolverines. Maybe that would be a wild thing, but that's your reason to watch at 5:40. But goodness gracious, we have a lot to talk about, Theo.
Yes, we do.
We have a ton to talk about, and it is all about Aden Holloway for a while. And so we're going to talk about, Katie, Joe, where is your green? I didn't even think about that. I am not Irish, to the best of my knowledge, but I should have. That would have been the move, to have green glasses.
With like little shamrocks.
That would have been the move. Absolutely.
What are we doing here?
Big old fail. Thank you, Katie, for calling me out right there. We can't wait to talk about the NCAA tournament with you very soon, and take a big old ride down to Tampa with Katie. Katie's going to be driving us down to Tampa. I will volunteer to help her, but I think that she's going to probably take charge and take us to Tampa. She said, Theo, you've got to pinch him now. You're welcome to do that. I've got a pretty decent pain tolerance. You're welcome to do that whenever you feel appropriate. Keith Connell jumping in and saying, hello, guys. How are you doing? Good morning, Keith. Yeah. We finished our show yesterday, Theo, and about an hour later, news of Aden Holloway's arrest. Aden Holloway did not have a very good Monday morning. He was apparently greeted by law enforcement officers who executed a search warrant of his home. Him and his significant other apparently lived there, and they found little over 2 pounds of marijuana, a rolling tray, and cash. Now, I don't really think the cash is very relevant here because of his NIL standings. I think that makes sense to me to have the cash, but holy moly, Theo, how much marijuana is 2 pounds of marijuana? It's insane.
To my understanding, as somebody who's not partaken that substance, I've been informed that is a obscene amount of marijuana.
It's ridiculous.
It is absurd. Like, you do not see people carrying that amount, generally speaking. Now, it does at face value make sense for an athlete to want to buy in large quantities, right? Not having to have small amounts at any given time. But that is a serious amount for this state, especially. I mean, that's going to get you in some trouble.
Yeah, according to some of the details that have come out, 964 grams. 2.1 pounds, 964 grams were found in the apartment of Aden Holloway, and he bonded out. And then apparently, according to Ryan Phillips, he met with Coach Oates, and not too long after, you had the Alabama athletic department essentially put out a statement that he's not with the school anymore, that he's been removed from campus. And Ryan Phillips continued to write. He put out a great piece about 5, 6, 7 o'clock last night. You can read it on Patch, where he essentially puts a lot of twos and twos together. Theo, we already heard last week that Aden Holloway was in a traffic stop, and having his car searched. Well, details from that traffic stop were that they found a small amount of marijuana. And in Alabama, if you have a certain percentage under, Theo, while I tell the story, will you double check the NCAA rule? Because I'm pretty sure it's not a violation for the NCAA anymore. And I meant to do that before I started. But okay. Back to the traffic stop. He's found with a little bit of marijuana, and in the current laws are, if it's under a certain weight, you can just get written a traffic ticket, a ticket for it, and kind of handle your business through the courts that way. But it's not really a huge deal as long as it's under a certain amount of weight, and it's small. You're still going to get a fine for it. You're still going to pay a penalty for it, and there's still some consequences for it. So it's not like he got off scot-free from the traffic stop. Fast forward Monday morning, he's getting a search warrant, 964 grams in his apartment. XYZ, ABC, you're in trouble. You're all removed from campus. And essentially, Coach Oates was on Hey Coach last night, and he had to address it. And he talked about having standards for the program and trying to help guys and basically having to hold people accountable. And it sounded like that the decision to play or not play or remove him from the team or suspend him was not really in Nate Oates' hands. Now, I think that Nate probably would have suspended him. That's just conjecture, but it sounds like it's much higher than him because it was student housing. Is that what I'm kind of gathering? Yes. Because you are having drugs on campus, and so he's removed from campus, and he has to go in front of a UA disciplinary board to get the, hey man, can you come back to campus? And if you come back to campus, you have to do A, B, C to basically pay your, suffer the consequences. And so he is currently off of campus and suspended right now. Unfortunate thing for him, Alabama is on spring break. Theo is a hard worker, didn't go home, didn't go to the beach, didn't go party for spring break. He's working on spring break, so it's normal week. It looks like a normal week if you're watching the show. The campus is gone. It's dead.
The whole town, yeah.
And so there's no disciplinary board to go meet with today. There's no disciplinary board to schedule an appointment with on Thursday, on Wednesday. And so he's at least going to miss this week's NCAA tournament, this weekend's NCAA tournament games. Ideally, 2 NCAA tournament games, maybe just 1. We'll find out. We'll talk about that with Theo in just a little bit. So he's at least going to miss this weekend. And then his best case scenario is to meet with UA disciplinary board Monday and kind of figure out what his penalties are going to be, if he can return to campus, what kind of hurdles he's going to have to go through, and consequences he's going to have to suffer. Consequences he brought on himself, he's going to have to suffer. The other aspect, Theo, is with his bond that he bonded out yesterday. He's not allowed to go out of state. He's going to have to get a judge's kind of signature, a judge's kind of relief from that bond to say, yes, you could travel to, hypothetically, Chicago and Indianapolis in the next three weekends. But after those weekends, you can't be leaving the state, is probably how that would play out if he were to get some sort of a waiver or relief. I think that's unlikely, but man, just what a crazy story. And the optics are very, very, very bad for Aden Holloway and Alabama basketball.
So I have obviously keeping him anonymous, a pretty close friend who got caught up in a similar situation a few months ago. And he was found without the substance, just on suspicion of the idea of distribution, was arrested, let out on $5,000 bail. So same number as Holloway here. And I, obviously immediately gave him a call and tried to get information pertaining to the case, like trying to see similarities. And he said that West Alabama Narcotics, the group that helped build the case on Holloway, they're very serious. But with that being said, hard to believe that Holloway would not be let out of the state.
Sure, right.
They would absolutely, if it came down to that.
Because he's not a flight risk type person.
He's not.
And, if you're releasing him to the university and to the basketball program to keep watch over him for 2 weekends, I would imagine that all that will go smoothly.
Frankly, this should have very little long-term impact on Holloway's career, in my opinion. Because I look at, first of all, you are correct. The NCAA has completely changed its stance on marijuana. It's basically viewed as alcohol, right? Mm-hmm. Like they have a very light stance there. If this happened at most schools that don't play in the state of Alabama, we're not having this conversation right now. It's a very different case. So I think your question becomes, how strict does the University of Alabama want to be here? Because a lot of it comes down to reputation, right? The university has a reputation to uphold. A reputation that, as we all know, is not the best in the eyes of the nation, right? Especially with this basketball program. For better or for worse, you make your own assumptions of that, but you know how this team is viewed, how this program is viewed.
Bunch of lawless hooligans.
If Aden Holloway were to appear on the basketball court this tournament in any capacity, there will be some very strong reactions from a lot of people.
Definitely.
Now, with that being said, there already are some pretty strong reactions about the program either way. I think that from what I know about Nate Oates, And from the million times I've heard him say, we just want to do right by our players. If there's a path to get Aden Holloway onto the court, Aden Holloway will be on the court. I think that if Aden Holloway wants to return to Alabama next year, things will blow over in the offseason and they will clear a path for him to return next year. But if Aden Holloway, wants to get out of the state, go play somewhere else, that's a possibility. Now, you got to remember, this comes with jail time, like on paper.
Exactly.
That is where there are going to be some very, very strong discussions. And, we might be sitting back in court watching another Alabama basketball player and a trial, because this is going to be a big case, right? You've already have a substance, just looking at it from a legal perspective. Marijuana and its legalization has been a controversial topic in the state for a while. Here's a massive high-profile case. I was talking to a couple of people I know in legal jobs here in Alabama, and they were saying, this could be a potential law-altering case, right? A high-profile situation like this could be what ends up leading to changes in the way it's persecuted. And at the very least, it'll bring the issue to the forefront again. So I don't know what that will look like. I don't know what punishment Holloway could face, what a trial how that will go. But it's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, it is a huge mess here for Aden Holloway, because the issue here is the weight. The issue here is the amount, is 964 grams. And I think you said it right in the early parts of the conversation. Yeah, Aden is wealthier than the average college student because of his NIL. And look, just like if you go to Costco and you get the 48 pack of toilet paper, it is cheaper than if you go to Walmart and you get the 6 pack of toilet paper. It is, based on, per capita per roll of toilet paper, it is cheaper. But in the state of Alabama, if you've got that, in any of these states where it is still illegal, I think there's 10 states that is decriminalized. I think that's what it is, 10 out of the 15. Maybe it's a little more. But Alabama, definitely one of the states where it's still illegal. You have that much weight on you. The automatic assumption is, oh, you're selling drugs. Oh, you're distributing it. You're making money off it. Now, look, just based off experience, off just knowledge of growing up, or just knowledge, it's a low profit margin. If you are selling marijuana, it is a very, very low profit margin. And so look, if you put your brain together and look at Aden Holloway and you say, when was he able to to sell his marijuana 3 grams at a time? It's you got 960 grams and you're selling it 3 to 5 to 6 grams to 10 grams at a time. That's that is so many microtransactions that is putting you at risk, every single microtransaction, as far as, do you trust the person that you're having this microtransaction with? Are they snitching on you? Basically, I can see both perspectives. I can see the perspective of Aden stays silent, but also tells the officers, I just smoke it. I'm not selling it. I'm just smoking it. And you can see, okay, well, if you're wealthier than the average college student, then it would make more sense to buy in bulk and not have to buy often, because, golly, how long would 2 pounds last you? I couldn't even guess.
How many pounds were there originally? Right? Did he just go and buy I'm not even speculating.
Sure, but you would imagine that it would just that supply would last a long time. And you would imagine he's too busy with basketball to be, hey, I'm slinging dope on the side. I'm out here. You can come. You come to my house at 8:00 or whatever, or I'll meet you at so and so place or whatever. Like, wouldn't you imagine with school and with basketball, the guy's just too busy to be doing that?
I think we'd have some pretty big problems if that wasn't the case, right?
Yeah.
And so much of this comes down to pure speculation, which is what we kind of want to try to avoid in this case.
Stay off the weed.
Thank you, Stephen A. obviously, we're not going to sit here all stunned that a college athlete is smoking weed, right? That's not a surprise in any way. I think one of the biggest things for me that still is just like, what are we doing here? They found you with an amount of marijuana last week. Did it never cross your mind to, maybe I should put these 2 pounds somewhere else? Where is that logic? Why are we keeping it in our? Did we never expect? Oh, they might come looking for this illegal drug that I've shown that I have. That's just idiotic. I'm sorry.
Exactly. It all boils down to pure stupidity, honestly, because of the timing of the season and the circumstance. You get in trouble last week. I would be, I'm gonna have to pay a ticket, and man, I'm lucky that I had such little weight on me that it was just a ticket, and they let me drive off and drive home, and I'm sleeping in my own bed tonight, and I don't have to have this in the news, and I can just kind of, deal with it in the courts and go pay my fine, and kind of, the coaching staff, they'll know, and I'll probably run some gassers and whatever the case may be. But does that not send off a bunch of bing, 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 red flags? I need to clean up my act here for at least a little bit of time. Oh, and also the NCAA tournament is coming. Oh, the SEC tournament is coming. Like, the postseason is here. Everything you've worked for throughout the last year is now upon you, and you still just aren't plugged in your brain to say, hey, maybe I should either pass it off to somebody else, move it to somewhere else, go rent a storage unit, whatever the case may be, like, get it out of my house so that, hey, these 3 weeks, I could make myself a lot of money. I can make myself money with either Alabama in NIL, give myself a raise, or I can go hit the portal and somebody's going to pay me because I'm one of the best 3-point shooters in the country. Like, this is, obviously, the coaches are looking more than the NCAA tournament, the SEC tournament, but like, this is where, oh man, look at this guy. We want to, we really like, this is where you're making a lot of money and you're making a big splash, and now you're instead going to probably be staying in Tuscaloosa as the team travels down to Tampa.
It's just absurd, man. It is the timing of it, the lack of foresight to, move on from it. And also just the situation in general. Starting off, why are we doing? Why do we have 2 pounds of weed? Why are we doing that? Just none of this. It's all a horrible look, obviously. It's all horrible for the team. It is. I mean, this is career defining for Aden Holloway, no matter how you slice it.
Certainly. So I think the bottom line is just stupidity and not thinking and not understanding the stakes of the season and not understanding the stakes of having that much weight in a state where it is illegal. Like, you get caught the week earlier. First off, buddy, you get caught last week. Like, let's just start right there. You get caught last week with it in your car and you get a little ticket, and that should be a lesson learned. Hey, man, let's just not drive around with it. Let's just not drive around with it. If I run a red light or don't have a turn signal and I get pulled over, let's just have a little talking to instead of, what's that smell, sir? Can I search your car, sir? And then you're in bigger trouble. Like, don't be driving around with it. Like make smarter decisions. So like, it all stems from the word stupidity. And I think that's really all it is. I think it's pretty unlikely, even given the weight that he was distributing things. I think that's very, very unlikely based on just the life of a college athlete. I think that's pretty unlikely. Now, I'm not saying impossible, but pretty unlikely. Now, and I also think that what you saw, the secondary charge, the failure to affix tax stamp, was thrown on him because they could not prove that he is distributing it. And so instead of saying, hey, you're with intent to distribute, that sort of thing, or we caught you selling it, XYZ, it's possession and it's failure to affix the tax stamp. Like,
yeah, basically the tax stamp thing is just something they realized they could tack on to add an extra, like it, because nobody's going to buy a tax stamp for their illegal drugs.
Exactly.
So they just realized that, oh, we can get an extra charge on these guys. It's just a dumb thing that they tacked on there.
Stay off the weed.
For at least 3 more weeks. Like,
I don't care what you do in the off season.
Sure, like, everybody's going to make their own decisions, but you've got the crux of the season. And shoot, it may not have even been 3 weeks. The Tide could go down to Tampa and get drummed by Texas Tech, and on Monday morning you could be out your mind doing whatever you wanted to do.
Yes.
Oh, it's just so frustrating and disappointing, honestly, that the players that Aden Holloway would make this decision and not think not think these things through so well. It's your third year in college. It's your third year in college. You've probably seen buddies getting in trouble, whether they're athletes or not. Like let's you're supposed to be a leader on the team. It's Latrell and then it's you as far as who's been around the program the most. Latrell, you, Aiden Sherrill, as far Phylon as well, but he's a year older than Phylon.
Yes.
Like you need to.
He's one of the leaders. Huh?
Exactly. Millette, but like goodness gracious, it's just really disappointing. And I think that Nato's hands were tied. I think his hands are tied, and everything is kind of hanging up as far as the courts and the UA disciplinary board. So as you're filling out your brackets, and we encourage you to join us in our bracket challenge. As you're filling out your brackets, you may want to consider how that Aden Holloway will very likely not play any of the NCAA tournament. Our friend Keith Connell commenting, I wasn't expecting to beat Texas Tech if we got that far, but now I can see us losing our opening game. I think the team will be watching most of March Madness from the living room. Golly. So you can go one of two ways right here from the team. Because Coach Oates on Hey Coach, it was basically like, yeah, we dealt with it at practice. We talked about it, and the team responded, had a good practice. Thought we had a good practice. It was kind of the gist of his comment. So you can go one of two ways. The team is going down to Tampa this weekend, and they can either, we're without Aden Holloway, and I don't know. Like, look, I don't want to espouse how they're feeling because I don't speak to them. But you'll either get, this controversy is behind us. We're down here, focused and trying to make something of ourselves, or woe is us. We can't win without our best shooter, and right into the tank, and Hofstra beat you. I think you can go one of two ways here, Theo. What do you think the team? How do you think the team will respond? And why don't you start after that, taking us into your study of the Hofstra pride?
Yeah, so it's fascinating because all season we have talked about the differences between an Aden Holloway offense and a LeBaron Phylon offense. When Aden Holloway is on the court, Alabama resembles the traditional Nate Oates. We are going to play the fastest pace in the country, and you are going to be sprinting up and down the court, and we're pull up from three at any time. And it's that style of play. It looks a lot less like that when Phylon's on the court, especially when Phylon is on the court without Holloway. LeBaron Phylon is a half-court player. Alabama executes very well out of half-court sets when Phylon is leading the team. So we've talked all year about, who leads the offense better? Who facilitates it better? And it's been an ongoing debate. And I do think at the end of the day, the best version of Alabama is the one that has both those guys on the court together. But with that being said, no Holloway means that Phylon style wins, right? It is we are going to execute in the half court, and we're still going to take a ton of threes. And now LeBaron Phylon is shooting 38%. He'll pull up at any time, and he'll find Reitzel, he'll find Millette, he'll find Amari Allen, he'll find the guys for three, but he'll also, we're going to do some PNR. Come up and set a screen for me, Sherrill, and how am I going to work off this? I'll facilitate, I'll drive, maybe I'll give it up, but maybe I'll pull up lethal mid-range shot. Like, it is a very traditional, by Nate Oates standards, offense when Phylon leads things. And you see time and time again, in March, in the big games, those are the offenses that generally have the most success. The whole idea of, live by the three, die by the three, right? One of the biggest critiques, which is a somewhat incorrect critique of Nate Oates' offense, but it holds some truth in March that it's the more deliberate offenses, the more established ones that are able to come up with buckets in big moments. So is some of this just, looking for ways to spin Holloway being out into a positive? Sure. But there's a lot of truth to the idea that LeBaron Phylon fully leading the offense could set Alabama up better for success in March. Now, bouncing off that idea, a bit of a contradiction, it absolutely sets Alabama up worse in just about every way for the first round against Hofstra. In this game against the Pride, it was going to be very hard for Alabama to lose the game with Aden Holloway, with Alabama playing this incredible breakneck pace. Alabama plays the 4th fastest pace in the country. Hofstra plays the 317th fastest. There are 365 teams. I mean, they are a very slow basketball team. And you look at this team led by point guard Cruz Davis. They have another really, really good guard, CAA Freshman of the Year, Preston Edmeade. They are a very deliberate offense. They run some beautiful half-court sets. Speedy Claxton has a great system. And they have talented bigs, right? Like they're not going to physically roll over and die. They absolutely would not have been able to hang with the pace Alabama would have been playing. It would have been the biggest strength for Alabama. It would have been the biggest reason that I was probably going to pick Alabama to win that game pretty comfortably. Without Aden Holloway playing, it gives me a lot of pause because you're playing to Hofstra's style a lot more, which could be enough to help keep this team in the game. Where do you want me to go with this, Joe? Just keep breaking down.
Yeah, you're all good.
Offense?
Yeah, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay, so Cruz Davis averaging 20 points, 4.6 assists.
I mean, you sat there watching like 10 hours of the Pride.
Yeah, so I watched 3 of their full games and then just a bunch of other clips from highlight packages I can find from a bunch of their others. And what I notice is just how aware Cruz Davis is on the basketball court at all times. He plays 38 minutes a game. Like, he is always out there. Has the ball in his hands just about every possession and averages 2.5 turnovers a game. Like, he is, you take those numbers every day of the week. What I really noticed, though, was Pitt and Syracuse, 2 ACC teams that Hofstra beat this season. Now, neither of them were particularly good teams, but they were Power 5 teams, and they looked like it physically. They would do the, obvious move of going and trying to double team Davis. He was almost always able to get that ball out. Like, just his ability to, they're closing in. Well, I know I have a teammate, and I know I can deliver this pass. And you are going to see some insanely frustrating passes on Friday. Plays where it's like, we've got him backed up. He has nowhere he can go with this. We're forcing him into a bad shot. And he will, you'll throw it around. His passing package is impressive.
Okay.
Words can't really do it justice, but you'll see, and you'll be pretty impressed. He is a flashy player. It feels like he's really, really learned a ton from Speedy Claxton. The other thing about Davis is he was a 4-star recruit. He played at Huntington Prep in West Virginia. He could have gone Power 4, Power 5 right out of school. Chose to go to Iona to play for Rick Pitino, and that's kind of been a theme, right? He's made all his decisions out of coaching. So he goes to Iona. Mac, he was on the Mac all-freshman team there. Followed Pitino to St. John's, got hurt. Things weren't really lining up there. So he chose to go play for Claxton, citing I want to learn from another really good coach, a guy who I think can teach me a lot, a guy who had a pretty similar play style to me, and it's worked wonders for Davis because he holds up athletically. He has just really fast twitch. Really, I didn't write about it much in the breakdown, but he is very capable defensively. You really wouldn't expect. I mean, he's 6'3". He's not particularly undersized. He's going to be a big-time player at a power program next year. I have very little doubt about that.
So he's going to be coming to Tuscaloosa.
That's very likely. Oates and Claxton, they already talked about Estrada a few years ago, and we're able to bring him in. Why not give this guy a little offer, especially if, in the event that one of your guards may not be coming back?
Well, one of them's definitely not. LeBaron.
Yeah, one of them's definitely not. One of them is Jaleel
and
Bethea.
And Latrell.
You need a guard no matter what, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little biased because I've just watched this guy play so much now, but I'm really, really impressed by what Cruz Davis does. The other piece of it, which I alluded to, is just their bigs are legit. They have 2 main centers that play. Both of them are big, 6'11", 7 foot. It's Silas Sunday is the 7-foot center, and then the big piece here is Victory Onyetu. That is Victory, the name. Grew up in Spain, went through like the Spanish like prep high school programs. He's legit 6'11", has the 10th highest offensive rebounding percentage in the nation. He grabbed 17% of offensive boards, and I'm watching the Syracuse game and like, wait, he keeps coming up with balls. You know, Davis goes out, and Davis is a great 3-level scorer, right? He can do just about anything. He can drive. He very good. We're going to see some fun mid-range basketball between him and Fallon. But he misses, and there's Onyetu to grab the rebound, getting in the perfect positioning, outmaneuvering a Syracuse team that clearly wasn't great at rebounding. Well, Alabama isn't the gold standard of rebounding themselves.
Golly, you're writing up a very terrible prescription right now. Keep going.
So just looking at it, like we've talked about how one of the keys for Alabama every game going forward is keeping Shrell on the court.
Yes.
The rebounding could be a legitimate advantage for Hofstra in moments when Sherelle is not playing. I mean, you think about that. Like I'm not just going out and saying that, I think Hofstra might not get killed on the glass. I'm saying they might be the better rebounding team if Aden Sherelle is not on the court for Alabama. They are, as a team, they're pretty good. They're in, I think, the low 50s offensive rebounding. Yeah, 51st on Ken Palm. But Onyetu is just phenomenal as a rebounder. I look at Davis, right, and his offensive ability. And his, I can take this ball and I can score from anywhere on the court. There's really no bad shot for him. He shoots over 40% from 3. But I also look at some of these passes that he throws in these games. And times when, you don't expect that ball to go out, and all of a sudden he works it inside. Sometimes off the screen, sometimes just, I think my center can make a play here. And you catch the opponent off guard, and it leads to Onyetu get it into the line. Well, where does Sherelle struggle? With picking up fouls a lot. And a lot of those fouls are not that he doesn't have his head in the game, but he gets caught a little off guard. Now you're slightly behind a play. You've got to be really deliberate about when you choose to contest if you're Aden Sherelle. There might be times where you get caught off guard, and it's like, sure, take your 2 points. Sherelle has to be very deliberate, make sure the times that he picks up fouls are smart, because I could see him picking up some fouls early and Alabama being in some trouble. Sherelle is, in my eyes, the most important player in this game for Alabama.
Well, he's pretty much your most important player, period, because of how much you don't have anything behind him. And I don't mean to say that disrespectfully, but you've seen what Noah Williamson has given you, and you've seen what Taylor Bowen has given you. And yeah, without Sherelle, I think you're battling up a creek without a paddle and just trying to get the canoe upstream with just your guards. Look at Hofstra. They've won 11 of their last 12 games. Their only loss in the last 12 games was to UNC Wilmington, lost by 4 on February 14th. So these guys haven't lost in over a month. They're playing really, really confident basketball. Theo, you've been out here on a limb for a while. Alabama won't make the Sweet 16 as your take. Will Alabama get to the round of 32 without Aden Holloway and against this Hofstra Pride team?
I'm going to lean yes. It will be, if I was a betting man, I would be hammering Hofstra plus 12.5 or 11.5 or whatever it's moved to. I'm going to lean yes. I won't pick the upset outright, but I will not be surprised in any way, shape, or form if Alabama's sent packing. If we're driving home on Saturday saying, man, what did we just watch Alabama do on the court?
Let me tell you, one of the worst drives I've ever made was from Louisville in the Sweet 16. After you go like this, what was it? Second half of the second half, where you went so cold and you couldn't get a bucket against San Diego State, and obviously Brandon Miller was sick. And I was just like, what in the world just happened? I don't know that I would feel that way about this team, but losing in the first round would make me feel that way. Like if you lost to Texas Tech, all right, okay. You lost in the second round, I'd be like, well, you rolled the dice, you gave it your all, what have you. But yeah, losing to Hofstra would probably make me feel that way. But I think that it's very, very possible. I think that you're going to have a much tougher game than you bargained for, and you're going to be sitting there with 4 minutes left in the game and seeing, oh, Alabama's up 6. Well, you're not covering the 12.5. Oh, Alabama's up 6, and they just hit a 3. Hofstra just hit a 3 to cut it to 3, or just got to the rim for an and 1 and gave Aden Sherrill his 4th foul. And now you're only up 2 or whatever the case may be.
Davis is real clutch, man. I'd watched their game against Monmouth live, and he was the guy down the stretch. He was making plays for that team. And the other guy, Ed Mead, the other guard, he has been putting up good numbers all year. But if you guys see the semifinal game against Towson, carried him to force overtime and then hit a 27-foot game winner at the last second to send him to OT. So Ed Mead is a guy who plays with a lot of confidence as well. And it was going to be a very interesting dynamic between the, 2 elite guards on each team, which obviously now changes. Alabama is vastly more talented. Like, yes, I know I'm singing Hofstra's praises, but at the end of the day, like, Alabama is the more talented team by every regard. But Hofstra,
can Alabama bury them from 3? Can you have a blowout scenario where Alabama is, you've seen the game where it's, oh my gosh, they're 8 of 12 from 3. They're 8 of 16 from 3 in the first half. In the second half, they end up going another. Oh, they're 9 of 20 from 3.
Like, that seems like a strong possibility, but it's just, what is Amari Allen going to give you offensively? There are 2 very different versions of Latrell Wrightsell that have shown up all year. There are, I don't think you'd expect Houston Millette to be the guy draining them, but even the 2 threes that he drains in the first half sometimes go such a long way.
Totally.
The London Jemison's the same way. He could give you 0. He could give you 9 points in the first half.
That boy London Jemison ain't never seen a shot he didn't want to take.
No, he has not. So
I love it, though. I love the aggression. I want to make that clear. Keep going.
I do, too. So it's like, you could absolutely – this game could be over in 8 minutes. It really could. If Alabama comes out and starts like it did against, Mississippi State, for example. Like, there is no coming back from that for Hofstra.
For almost any team.
For almost any team, yeah. And you look at a Hofstra team that you don't have tournament experience. You have a coach coaching in his first tournament game. Like, yes, the path absolutely exists for Alabama to run them off the court. And that is what should happen. But a lot of these matchups and a lot of these scenarios with this game gives me a lot of pause on saying that, which is why I think you guys will be turning off your TVs on Friday night very relieved that Alabama was able to pull out a win.
You got to go to the fridge and say, oh, I need a beer. One thing about the NCAA tournament that I want to get your perspective on. We saw in the SEC, and we see it every year, the SEC officials, God love them. I don't know that they're amazing, but what you see stylistically is a lot of foul calls, a lot of contact foul, little ticky tack. We're going to call fouls. We'll put these teams on the free throw line. A little bit of a ref show sometimes. I don't really want to think it's a ref show, but I think they call it the game pretty tight. In the SEC, in my opinion. The NCAA tournament, they let them play. Like, you still get the foul calls, but physicality is more allowed. You're allowed to be a little more physical in the lane. You're allowed to get a little more handsy out there on the perimeter. It just seems like when you get a national group of refs, obviously SEC refs are going to be officiating some of these games, and these crews are going to be officiating some of these games. But on the whole, I feel like the NCAA tournament allows a little more physicality. How do you think Alabama will deal with it if they're not getting, the foul call that they think LeBaron will draw a foul like crazy. I mean, he can get himself to the free throw line, or he was able to get to the free throw line in the SEC season really, really effectively. If they're not giving LeBaron that little knock, he throws his head back. Oh, they hit me in the back kind of thing as he's passing them. If they're not giving LeBaron these calls, and they're letting the boys play on both sides. How does Alabama deal with the physicality here? You think they are able to push through, or you think this is it's advantage Hofstra?
I would say advantage Hofstra. Now, look, like LeBaron's had his struggles in certain games getting to the line. And he's also had some games where, wow, okay, great job. You shot 9 free throws today. So it's been a bit of both. And he's been a good offensive player regardless. But I do believe that, Davis doesn't get to the line all that much, especially in those wins he led him to against Syracuse and Pitt. Took a combined 9 free throws in those 2 games. Scored 36 points against Pitt, barely going to the line. So I would think that it would favor Hofstra, but I do
definitely favors Texas Tech.
Oh yeah, if Alabama's playing in that game, it 1,000,000% favors Texas Tech, and that's one that I guess we probably should get into that matchup as well a little bit. But tomorrow, that sounds good. Yeah, I would say it benefits Hofstra.
That's one of my main concerns for this Alabama program, and it has been year in and year out, not just this edition, but dealing with physicality in the tournament, being able to bang down low and still being able to perform, still being able to get your rebounds, because you can get away with a little more physicality in the NCAA tournament. You got any more on Hofstra at the moment that you want to talk about? I've got one more topic for us today, one more short topic for us today, but I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, just one more quick thing that I think needs to be brought up about this team is that Onyetu and Sunday are both in the top 100 nationally as far as block percentage. And those 2 guys have really, really just had a great ability at forcing teams into non-rim twos.
Sure.
And that is one of the things that makes the dynamic of Holloway being out so much more fascinating, because that now you have
Holloway's a green light guy from the mid range.
Philon is, yeah.
And Philon too, but Holloway, that's one of your 3. It's him. It was Philon. It's Holloway. It's Littrell. Is Millette? I don't think so.
I would say that Holloway and Littrell, yes, they're able to take those shots. The only one that has a true green light is LeBaron Philon, the only one who and I probably should look and try to find the numbers on mid-range attempts per game, but Philon is the guy there. So one of the stats that was fascinating to me is team shooting percentage on 2-pointers is the 3rd lowest in the country against Hofstra.
Yeah, 44.2%.
Yeah, and they shoot them from the 6th furthest distance, against any team. So Alabama's in a position where logic would dictate that you are letting that ball fly from beyond the arc.
That's why I asked what I asked.
That it would seem like your primary objective is to create those open threes.
Could take you back to the BYU game a couple years ago in the tournament where BYU said, we're just going to pack it in and make you shoot from out there. No easy twos. And Mark Sears and them boys buried them.
No, a game like that, nobody was beat. An Alabama team that shot like that would have beat Duke in the Elite Eight. Right?
Sure.
You don't have those shooting days often. What was it, 25 total threes on the
day? I think
it
was a season, program high.
Yes. Now, and that is why the loss of Holloway is so potentially detrimental to this game, because you lose your best shooter in a game where your easiest path to win is just making shots. So we've seen this team come out and have less than satisfactory days from beyond the arc. The team that NATO said would probably be its best shooting team that just didn't quite live up to that standard this year. But yes, if the shots are falling, Hofstra's pretty powerless. If they're not falling, then you're stuck in a position where, we've tried the 3-point game, hasn't really worked. Now we've got to drive on this team that really is good at not letting us get inside for easy buckets. And a lot of this becomes, okay, LeBaron, what can you create? What can you give us? What are you going to do as the leader of this offense? So at the very least, Alabama, I think, unless the shots just start magically falling and we have a repeat of that BYU game, it becomes a situation of LeBaron really being challenged to find a way to get this team to a victory.
Well, we'll keep talking about it the rest of the week, and we'll be driving down to Tampa starting tomorrow, and we'll be all over the NCAA tournament as Alabama takes on Hofstra on Friday, middle of the afternoon. You can follow all the coverage at BamaCentral.com. Before we get out of here, though, we want to tell you about Purple Turtle Roofing. At Purple Turtle Roofing, we're not just another contractor, we're your neighbor and your advocate when it comes to protecting your home or business. With years of hands-on experience, top-tier certification, and a commitment to excellence, we've built a reputation as Alabama's go-to roofing solution. We specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, emergency storm repairs, full-on roof replacements, insurance claim support, and more. Visit them online today at roofturtle.com for all the products and services. You can schedule your free appointment right there at roofturtle.com. Roofing with heart, built to last. Purple Turtle Roofing.
Stay off the weed.
Last thing for us, Theo, is a trade. Breaking news, NFL trade involving an Alabama player this morning. Jalen Waddle is now a Denver Bronco.
Oh.
Did you see this? As you're pontificating about Hofstra, the Broncos are acquiring Jalen Waddle from the Miami Dolphins. The Broncos received Jalen Waddle and the Dolphins' 4th-round pick in this year's draft. Miami gets the Broncos' 1st-round pick, 30th overall, and a late 3rd and 4th in this year's draft. So they get a 1st, 3rd, and 4th. They ship off a 4th and Jalen Waddle is now out of the Miami purgatory that is the Dolphins, landing on great team contending Denver Broncos, and I think a perfect fit for the Sean Payton offense that wants to get the ball out ASAP. 1, 2, 3, get the ball out. Bo Nix. Oh well, Jalen Waddle just shook his man off the line, and now he's slanting it over the middle or down the sidelines. He is so good in short areas and in tight spaces that I think that he and Sean Payton are going to. He's going to be a real weapon that complements this receiving core very, very well. You haven't really had time to think about it, but let me just throw it right at you. Instant reaction: Jalen Waddle, now Denver Bronco.
Well, it's in 3 weeks, the contingent of Alabama fans who rooted for the Dolphins has been fully killed off, right? They've just gotten rid of all those guys.
Well, hey, the older Alabama fan, a lot of them love the Broncos because you used to send a lot of Alabama players down to, the Dolphins, because you used to send a lot of Alabama players down to Miami to play for the Dolphins. But yeah, right now they're hurting.
No, I agree. I agree on the Waddle being a very good fit on this Denver team. We saw how close the Broncos were last year. I believe you do win that. I believe you absolutely win that championship game with Bo Nix. And for what it's worth, I'm very high on Bo Nix and his ability to be the guy to lead this team under this Sean Payton offense. And when you look at this and you've got 2 years before Bo Nix is one of the highest paid QBs in the league, right? You've these 2 years to capitalize on the just pure cap flexibility of having a rookie QB. This is the perfect move to make. This is bringing in a big-time playmaker, a guy who, talk about it schematically, seems like he does a lot of what Sean Payton wants and is obviously just a great target for his QB. This raises Denver's ceiling.
Absolutely. And if you got to play Jarrett Stidham again, he can at least throw a screen out to Jalen Waddle, and we'll see if Jalen Waddle can wiggle off and make a first down.
How were Waddle's numbers last year?
Ooh, I'll tell you. We'll find out.
Jalen
Waddle.
You wouldn't put too much stock into it with how weird that season was.
Not really, just because everything in Miami was up and down last year. There was a period last year where Miami was like, oh, we're actually gonna do something, and then it fell right apart. Last year, Jalen Waddle, 100 targets, 64 receptions for 910 yards and 6 touchdowns. He had 2 rushes for 28 yards for a first down. So there we go, all-purpose yards right at 940, 6 touchdowns on 66 touches.
I mean, we know how talented he is, right? You've seen it. You saw it in that 2023 season with Tua, where Tua led. I keep forgetting that Tua led the league in passing yards just a couple years ago, right? Like, it is absurd to think about, but no, I mean, Waddle is a big-time addition for this team. And I think that's not even a bad price. I don't even think that's too much to give up.
1st, 3rd, and 4th for a real premier wide receiver to give it to you. I mean, you're picking 30th. You weren't going to get.
It's basically a second round.
Exactly. You probably weren't going to get a real impact player right there. somebody to develop at 30, but nobody that can step on the field and give you what Jalen Waddle can give you.
It's either draft Jeremy Bernard or trade for Jalen Waddle. And they made the second.
Miami said, with these picks, we could draft a Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I like it.
All right, so that's going to do it for our show today. Theo and I are going to conversate about what time we're going to do a show tomorrow, but we are going to do a show before we start driving down to Tampa. We got a shoot around and I think a media availability in Tampa on Thursday that we're going to be at to really start this NCAA tournament coverage off right. So look, today, 5:40, you can be checking out UMBC and Howard on True TV, Texas and NC State also right after that on True TV. NCAA tournament starts today. Fill out your bracket. Join the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central's Bracket Challenge. We're giving out 2 gift cards to the winner. To the winner goes the Bulls. No prize for second place. The winner gets one $50 Chuck's gift card, one $50 five gift card. There's multiple locations around the state of Alabama. You don't have to be in Tuscaloosa to go to Chuck's or Five. They've got them in Birmingham. They've got them in Mobile. They've got them all across the state, so you guys can enjoy those great restaurants. Send the show to your friends. Tell them about the program. Join us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, and check out Derek Daniel for all of your insurance needs. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.